Located in the northeast corner of Africa, Egypt lies at the heart of the Arab world. Comprised of mostly uninhabitable desert, 99% of the country's 83 million people live along the banks of the Nile River. This region, from the Aswan High Dam to the Mediterranean shore, is Egypt's core. The Nile, while not commercially navigable, forms the basis of Egypt's irrigation-dependent agricultural sector. The long, narrow stretch of population requires expensive infrastructure development, especially related to transportation, straining the capital-poor government's resources. The desert topography demands a great deal of investment on a national scale, necessitating a strong central state, helping to explain Egypt's history of authoritarian regimes, beginning with the pharaohs. Egypt's main geographic challenge has been to develop beyond the narrow Nile corridor and project power eastward. The Saharan desert has largely insulated the Nile core from its western flank and contained Egypt's westward expansion. Egypt has been able to translate its strong central government and border with Israel into developing a relationship with the United States, the key foreign backer protecting the Suez Canal and the northern coastline. This area contains the majority of Egypt's offshore hydrocarbon reserves. The Sinai Desert has traditionally been the overland route of foreign invasion, but its more manageable geography also accommodates Egyptian attempts to interact with the Levant and Arabian Peninsula, and competition with Saudi Arabia for the role of regional Arab hegemon.
The Egyptian revolution brought hope and opportunity to a people long oppressed by an unpopular dictator and his subordinates. Egyptian Coptics joined Muslims in the Tahrir Square protests, but so far the freedoms they've desired remain elusive, and this minority Christian community is under siege.
In terms of the actual number of attacks on Copts, they have increased since Mubarak stepped down, and that has a lot of Copts worried. Is this a harbinger of the future?
Many Christians are now considering leaving the country. So far, 2011 has been a tragic year for Egypt's Christians. It began on New Year's Day with a horrific suicide bombing at St. Mark's Church in Alexandria. Security guard Magdi Wahib was at the church entrance when services concluded shortly after midnight.
I suddenly found myself blown inside the church. I didn't lose consciousness, but I felt severe pain in my abdomen, hand, and sides.
Wahib was taken to a hospital where he underwent surgery. A piece of shrapnel nearly 7 inches long was removed from his abdomen, along with 30 inches of his intestines. Wahib was among nearly 100 Christians injured in the attack. 23 people were killed. The Christians here at St. Mark's Church in Alexandria certainly know that the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. They'll persevere. Their church may even grow as a result of this incident. And they're determined to fight for a new future here in Egypt, one where their rights are honored and they have religious freedom. Christians say they're not treated as equals, even though they were the majority here for more than 1,000 years. Today, they are only about 13% of the population. 86% of Egyptians are Muslim. Christians rarely receive government permission to build new churches. These members of a church in Giza near Cairo told CBN News they obtained a building permit after a lengthy 10-year battle. Then, last November, security police laid siege to their partially constructed building.
The faithful of the Archangel Michael open the gates of their church, or rather what remains of it. Last Wednesday, after attacking a police station, a young crowd stoned the church doors. 3 people were seriously injured, but its caretaker managed to escape. He wants to show us what remains of the church's treasures.
As soon as they entered, they looted everything. Then they ransacked the place before setting light to it. They had Molotov cocktails and gasoline. No religion calls for such things. Islam cannot tolerate such acts.
What do I love about our church?
The intense culture and the history and tradition.
Our church is the body of Christ.
I love the forgiveness that we have in our church.
We grew in it.
Our fellowship together.
There's a great depth to our church, and that's what I love.
We learned everything about God from our church in Egypt.
The church is unshakable despite its history of persecution and everything, but it's still standing and it's still there.
I guess that's what I love about my church.
Today's Coptic Orthodox Christian community of 12 to 15 million is descendant of the pharaohs and the church established in Egypt by St. Mark the Apostle in 48 AD. More than 10 million of us remain in Egypt today because we are Egypt's indigenous people.